even though inflation may be quashed, the prices never come down. And so, I think it's the banking issue is the problem. Because, everybody saw, Bitcoin really started taking off when the banks were struggling. I saw this firsthand in Europe back in 2012 and 13 with Cyprus. Bitcoin exploded because people understood you couldn't keep your money in the bank. And that's when I first got into the whole space. And it's happening in the US again. And people are like, oh, I get it now. The assets find a base. We all start making a bit of money again. We all go out and buy the Rolex watch and the NFTs. And before you know it, we're all bidding up CryptoPunks again because we're feeling rich and we want to show off. We will see, the rise of the hedge fund industry, the capital coming in, the pension funds coming in,
The world of cryptocurrency, marked by its astonishing volatility and relentless unpredictability, stands at the face of an era defined by digital finance. As the early days of Bitcoin gave birth to a myriad of altcoins, each promising unique innovations and use cases, the financial landscape is transforming like never before. Amid this digital revolution, it becomes increasingly imperative for investors to adopt strategies that are both well-informed and well-calculated. Raoul Pal needs no introduction within the financial realm. With a career spanning decades and a keen understanding of global markets, Raoul's insights into the 2024 cryptocurrency landscape provide a lighthouse amidst the ever-shifting tides of the digital financial world. Let's break down Raoul's astute observations and expert opinions as he shares his views on the cryptocurrency market in the coming year. Economy yield curve.
So I think of this like an option, right? So the more the treasury yield goes up, the more we're all going, oh my God, a car crash is happening. The more the banks go down, the more the option that the Fed have to do something comes back into play. Yield curve control, right? So this is like an option play. Yes, we've got the ETF story going on as well, but it's also, gold did the same thing. It started to suddenly shift from being fearful of rates to bring the rates up because we know what you have to do. You have to do yield curve control, or you're going to have to do something to stop this, because if not, you're going to blow up the banking system. Normally, the yield curve going back to positive sloping usually has happened because they're cutting rates at the front end. But this is completely different. This is this excess spending idea and who the hell's going to buy all the bonds. And meanwhile, Janet keeps issuing them because rates keep going up, so they issue more. And everyone's like, well, this is a total fucking shit show. And, the Japanese did yield curve control within that. So I don't believe that signal is there. I think, that the more the curve goes closer to zero, because the long end's going up in terms of yield, the more it's a sign that they're going to have to do something. My point I've been making for a long time, I think last time we spoke, I said this, is the recession got priced in last year. Crypto assets don't go down 80%. The NASDAQ went down 35%. The long end of growth technology like ARK was down 78%. That was the recession, right? So what we've got is markets that are forward-looking because they understand the liquidity cycles now. So that's why they're going up and have been going up. I managed to participate in most of this in both crypto and in technology stocks because I knew that liquidity was coming back slowly. So even though the Fed are doing quantitative tightening and the Treasury issuing, because of this drawdown in this reverse repo, all of this stuff basically means they've not been tightening liquidity for ages now.
Why is Bitcoin idiosyncratic?
As you know, if you zoom out, put it on a log chart, it is, right? It does trend perfectly. It's just that the cycles within that trend, when you don't put them on a log chart, look horrific, and most people don't have the stomach for it. You and I have been around this long enough to realize the pain is part of the risk is part of the reward. You have to go through that to have an asset that goes up 20x, each cycle. So I think it's been decoupled for a while, as you say. It feels that new capital's coming into the space because it's moving out of the risk curve. So we saw Bitcoin going up first part of what I call crypto spring. So all year it was Bitcoin, and that was driven by, I think, just alts bleeding and that washing machine. But what we're starting to see is the movement towards the ETF, and that gets front running of capital from other people as well, hedge funds and others. And then eventually we got the news today that BlackRock has probably started to buy some. Who knows how much that is, but let's call it a couple $100 million. Either way. But so the way to think about the ETF, I think, is really useful. Here's the crypto economy. and it has been starved of new capital recently. And the ETF is a trade deal between TradFi, the TradFi economy, and this new economy. So we've just started a trade deal. Doesn't mean we're going to get the trade, but it's looking like we'll start to get foreign direct investment into the crypto economy. What happens then is how I think about this. My mental model is, okay, so the money goes into Bitcoin first, but everybody who's been in this market has been front running it by owning Bitcoin. So then the next thing they'll go is, well, they're going to do the ETH ETF next.
Altcoin or Solana?
To do is look at things versus Bitcoin and see where things are. Now, ETH has always been very interesting to me because the whole down cycle, it didn't do the down 90% versus Bitcoin. Many of the existing alts do, because we know it's a massive ecosystem. Also, ETH, everything changed for me when it got deflationary in large activity, because actually the biggest activity is in a bull market, so it becomes scarcer in a bull market. That's like, okay, nobody really thought that one through. The other thing is it now has a yield, and if you think of institutions, they like things with yields. So they don't like gold because it doesn't have a yield. ETH does. So ETH has been actually my bigger bet, but I've recently been switching into Solana as my bet. And so I started looking in and watching the interviews with the Jump trading team who built Firedance, and realized it was a separate validator for ETH, actually for Solana. That actually that increases the security of the entire chain itself. And that, yes, these speeds were right because it was being built by people who were trying to build light speed for high frequency trading. And Tolly's going, yeah, this is the real deal. This is what we should have done in the first place. And the speed here, I mean, just think of the quantum this is. So we've got Solana at supposedly 65,000 TPS. We've got a layer 2 like Polygon at about the same, but less secure than a layer 1. Okay, fine. This is a layer 1 of Solana that does 20x. So they're saying it's fast enough to run the entire securities industry. Twitter only runs at 24,000 TPS. So you can run all of social media, you can run high frequency trading, you can do anything. So all I think is use case. Use cases explode. And it just becomes very interesting. So that's why I'm very bullish. Yeah, and look, I could be wrong too. It may not be the great bet. I may be a complete moron, and I'm more than happy to be the moron. To me, I'm looking at risk rewards here, and I'm just thinking, could this be the ETH of this cycle? That's not taking away from ETH. It's not taking away from Bitcoin. What we're trying to do is, if we're in this ugly economic world, you want to try and make as many chips as possible when you can. That's the game. Now, you could be the Bitcoin maximalist who says, I don't want to keep all the chips, I just want the chips that I want. And that's okay too. There's no problem with those different worlds.
What will happen to the NFT market?
But out of the ashes rises the phoenix. NFTs are just an asset in the ETH economy. Assets, if you think of the stock market versus real estate, the stock market's led real estate by about 18 months.
Yeah.
And so what's been really interesting is the crypto cycle is the same as the economic cycle. So if I look at the cycle of Rolex watches, secondhand watches, and Patek Philippe's, exactly follow the NFT cycle. And they will turn. Why? Because everybody's been puking anything to get some cash because everybody's skimps right now. So the best way is you sell some of these assets, and then eventually the assets find a base. We all start making a bit of money again. We all go out and buy the Rolex watch and the NFTs. And before you know it, we're all bidding up CryptoPunks again because we're feeling rich and we want to show off. I mean, humans are ridiculous, but that's what we are. Generative art of the best artists, but it's a very hard game. This is not an easy game. Yes, if you've got plenty of money buying some NFT projects at lows right now that are super high-end, well-respected, but the only other thing is utility projects. That's very different. So let's go through that case with Solana in what we've just enabled. They cracked the NFT compression, which means that they can mint 1 million NFTs for $100. Okay, now they've got a chain that is like stupid cheap and stupid fast. Those two things, to me, have the financial markets written all over them. So an NFT is just a contract that lives on chain. Every derivative, everything is a contract, and they can be all unique, but also tickets. all ticketing. When you're issuing tickets like that, it's cheaper than paper tickets.
Yep.
It's cheaper literally than printing the damn things out. And so that enables a lot of use cases we've never done before. And having a chain that is this fast, if that proves to be correct, means that you can use it for exchanges, which you weren't able to do before because blockchains were too slow.
Bitcoin spot ETF predictions.
So look, that's just part of the trade agreements going to come from TradFi to crypto economy. Just as this is one of them. The ETH spot ETF will happen as well.
Of course.
It'll be later, and everyone's going to, as soon as the Bitcoin one are done, they'll front run it by going to the ETH one because they know that's the next one. We will see that. We will see, the rise of the hedge fund industry, the capital coming in, the pension funds coming in. Matt Halstead and Mike from Texas Teachers are kind of showing the way and how that's done. So they're all coming, and it will all happen over time. The Bitcoin ETF, I don't think of it as a one-off event.
I agree.
People are thinking of it as like this liquidity injection into the crypto economy, and I'm saying it's a trade agreement. Trade agreements really start working when people are starting to get return on their capital in that new economy, and then they pile in. Do you remember when China started opening up and people started putting a little bit of money there? Before you knew it, you'd be in Shanghai and everybody's been posted there, being given $1 billion. Set up an office for us there. Figure out how to make money. That's what will come. So I'm less concerned about the start, but this pipe is going to be an important pipe to bring kind of RIAs and others into the space as it moves. If you think about the halving, it's so beautifully timed. Last time and this time, I can't remember the previous time, but last time is like, okay, we're going to reduce the supply of Bitcoin whilst we're going to jam the maximum amount of fucking money into the system. Here we are again, going into some liquidity, whatever that's going to look like, plus the Bitcoin spot ETF, all around the same time at the halving. It's like, you couldn't ask for a better picture.
Cryptocurrency markets are marked by their inherent volatility and unpredictability, demanding a well-informed strategy. From the macro picture to the role of Bitcoin having, potential price appreciation, and the risk curve, these were some eye-opening insights into the crypto market's nuances. As you navigate the world of cryptocurrencies, keep these in mind and always approach the market with a well-informed and strategic mindset.